With viewers snubbing Hugh Edwards and his desk in droves, the BBC just gave up.
Hello, very good morning. You're watching BBC News 24 with Joanna Gosling and Simon McCoy. It's just after 11:30. A summary of the news now.
What the public did watch in their millions was BBC One's People Who Act Like Their Name Would Imply They Would.
This week on People Who Act Like Their Name Would Imply They Would, meet Carrie, Sherry, Nick, Josh and Ernest.
There was one with a guy called Sean who'd shaved all his body hair off.
By the end of the series they were getting really desperate. There was a guy called Bill who drafted bills. He wasn't actually an MP, he just did it in his shed.
Wayne.
Jon Snow, they cut out in the end because he didn't. They realised.
The one bit of the Channel 4 news he doesn't do is the weather.
The weather. It's frustrating because we filmed a lot of stuff talking about Jon Snow, and then some bright spark piped up about, well, this doesn't actually work, Liam Piano, who was that pianist.
Yeah.
Obviously, otherwise he wouldn't have been in the show.
Oh, there was a classic one with this guy, I can't remember his name, but it was very funny because his name, actually it does matter because his name described what he did. Oh God, I'm an idiot. It was very good though.
You have no recollection of his name?
No, his name described the thing he did.
No, I know that. You can't remember anything he did?
No. Oh God, it was really funny because
what was funny about it? Can you remember anything that was funny about it?
How close the two things were, like his name and the thing he did, were so close that it was very funny.
And you have no recollection of his name or what he did?
No. Andy?
Andy?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't Stu, the guy that fell into the vat of acid?
No.
No.
Was it Matthew?
Matthew?
And he was climbing.
It wasn't a foreign name that
Uh,
sort of sounded like an English thing.
Pierre. He just pissed into the wind.
Meanwhile, the war on terror was getting more terrifying.
If you met a foreigner, you'd pretty much assume that he was going to kill you. And that had a big effect on things like the World Cup. Much less kind of emphasis on this is a festival of football, much more emphasis on probably all die here, let's hope to get out of this alive.
Despite best efforts, undercover terrorists were still breaching security.
When he came on, there was something in his eye. I knew there was something funny, and I turned to Porsche and I said, he's going to blow himself up. And he did.
Now, here's the man who brings the two halves together, Dale Winter.
Meanwhile, the entertainer Vic Reeves was arrested for smuggling enriched uranium from Kurdistan. Britain went paranoid as more Home Secretaries came up with legislation to stop terror.
We arrested Scary Spice.
We also arrested someone called Terry.
There'd be strip searches at things like the cinema and the ballet. So people got used to just walking around with nothing on because they knew that it was the only way you could tell someone was definitely not a terrorist.
And there was more criticism of the police when they shot a completely naked man because they thought he looked like a van packed with explosives.
This family came over all together for the funeral, but unfortunately they came by coach.
When the coach drew up, the policeman thought it was a rucksack.
So he blew it up in a controlled explosion. He knows now he did wrong.
The next day, 19 of Gordon Brown's Home Secretaries resigned.
Are we over-scared?
I'd say we're over scared. Oh, sorry, you just said that.
I just said that?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
So what we did in the end, we placed a ban on people being terrified.
How did you...
Well, we got the police to kind of put on beards and put in suspicious packages on buses and tubes and see if anyone was terrified and arrest them. Then we extended it to the cinema. We had agents go in to watch horror films and arrest anyone who looked terrified. And they arrested a whole number of people on Final Destination 3, but we couldn't make it stick. I mean, I think the fault with that was that Final Destination 3 wasn't really scary enough. I mean, the problem to me was the title. How can you have a sequel of a film when you have finality embedded in the central concept and indeed in the title?
To my mind, when Final Destination 2 was released, the original Final Destination should have been renamed Penultimate Destination.
Anyway, that's beside the point. I mean, the thing was, it wasn't scary enough, so we couldn't make the charges stick.
Ironically, it was because no news was now being broadcast that the war against terror was finally won. Since no atrocities were being reported, people were no longer terrified.
By the end of it, it was almost... You sort of almost like the terrorists. You might see one in a public library or something and you'd have a bit of banter. Oh, what are you reading? And you go, it's a terror, it's a jihad notebook or something. It was fun, you know, it was kind of fun.
And with the war on terror won, it was time to celebrate.
And so, to our first award. Terrorism can be a lonely business and a long, hard struggle.
Our three finalists in this category are...
Landmine destroyed a Russia bus in Tel Aviv's main street, Dizengoff. The attempted attack in London.
So how many of you are saying I remember that?
The BBC soon apologised for this show and shut down for a week.
Now, please welcome Heather Mills.
I mean, we've now had terror for 30 years. How do you think that's affected us?
Well, it solved the obesity problem because, you know, people were shitting themselves 8 or 9 times a day, and that actually helped for a lot of people.
Maybe just for the pre-watershed market.
Yeah.
We should say something instead of shit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Crap themselves, shat themselves,
okay.
Defecated, emptied themselves.
It solved...
Evacuated themselves.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll go for that one.
Okay.
I suppose the main thing was it solved the obesity problem because, you know, people evacuated their bowels about 8 or 9 times a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't know that.
Here's Graham with a quick incision. Cut through the liver. Down we go. Ugh. There we are. We'll take that back. We'll make some reference to the liver and obviously Scylla being from Liverpool.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. The colored girls say, take a walk on the wild side.
We had a big party in Trafalgar Square to celebrate the end of the war on terror. Unfortunately, a bomb went off and a lot of people were killed. The next day, we declared war on terror again, but this time we decided we wouldn't have a party at the end.
Next week on Time Trumpet, we catch up with an increasingly mad Tom Cruise.
Do you think I have lifts in my shoes? Prove to me that I have lifts in my shoes. You can't, because you don't have my shoes.
Rape and ape.
The most popular programme television ever made.
Rape and ape.
We look at decline in respect for the royal family.
You know, you'd see Prince Charles on a bus with people just flicking his ears saying, what are you going to do about it?
And we remember the war between Denmark and Tesco's.